Hello, hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome, as always, to Let's Talk Relationships and Life. And I have a very special guest who is hopefully going to come on in about 2 minutes. Here's Bev. There she is. Wonderful, wonderful Bev.
Hello.
This is Bev Joy Ulrich. Have I said your surname correctly?
Ehrlich.
Ehrlich.
Close enough.
And she's over there in Israel, and we connected online because we have a huge amount in common. And today we're going to be focusing on trauma, childhood stuff, which is our passion, which is what we're great healers in this field. But today we're going to be focusing on the mother-daughter relationship. I am very used to talking about the relationship with my mother, but today is something interesting, and this may well affect millions of you out there. We are talking from the mother's aspect, not from the daughter's aspect. So we're going to be talking about actually my personal relationship with my daughter. And so I'm opening the floor to Bev. Take me through this.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. And as Louise said, this resonates with a lot of you. We're looking from the mother's perspective. I always look from the perspective of the person who comes to me. So, Louise, what would you like to share about your relationship with your daughter? What were the challenges that you faced?
Huge challenges. I have 3 children, and they're now 29, 28, and 26. So they're all very big young adults, and actually all 3 will be married within a year. So they've gone bang, bang, bang.
Oh, wonderful.
The issues I'm going to be sharing with today are with my eldest daughter. And I always believe that we have a very different relationship with our children. I know you have 4, Bev, depending on where they were people and their personalities and stuff. So I'm talking about my eldest daughter, Charlotte. And I think the real message, because we've just got about half an hour together, so I mean, I could talk all day about this, is the fact that I was very unaware as to what I was doing. So all my childhood wounds that I had taken on from my mother were actually being projected onto my daughter. And I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I imagined myself and saw myself as being a totally different mother, as the energy she took on board. So it's absolutely mind-blowing. If you are a parent out there and you are struggling with your child, I urge you, the first thing to look at is what is being triggered inside of you. What are your wounds? What is the relationship like with yourself and with your parents? Because that's where the answers lie. And it didn't really come to fruition for me, Bev, until years and years and years down the line. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping mums with younger children. They don't have to spend their entire parenting years bringing up their children in the way I did. My eldest daughter was 18, 19. I think she was almost 19. And I'd had all the trauma with my own mother that came to a head, and my own mother said she didn't love me to my face. And it was literally coming back to Dubai. Charlotte said, "Get out of my life. You're just like your mother." Wow. Epic fail. Because consciously, I had done everything differently in the physical world. We couldn't have lived a more different life, her childhood to mine. So what was going wrong here then, Bev? What was happening?
Firstly, thank you so much for your personal share, because it's so true and authentic, and that is also what helps people. So I really appreciate your willingness to share this story. So some of the things that you spoke about, and let's just define what trauma is and about what it means to make it or become aware. So we're all born into attachment. That's how we are as human beings. And that's where our early traumas begin, within that attachment. Children are born into a place of being. They are entitled to be. A river runs down the hill. Parents have an obligation to look after their children. However, if a child discovers at some point that, I'm 3 and my mother's 3, something's odd here. They might take on a role that is too early, that they're in the doing mode too early, and it's inappropriate because they don't know how to cope with an adult role. Now, there's another aspect to that role. It has a very high salary. It comes with a great payment. With you. Does that resonate with you? Okay.
Absolutely does it. Sorry, you froze there for a minute.
Oh, sorry. So I'm talking about children. I'm just giving one aspect of trauma. So what happens is something overwhelming happens. We can't cope with it because we're only little children. We don't have the skills. So we create a function that is very intelligent for that time. It's almost like we're living in a different time zone, because what happens is snow is falling on ice, there's a freezing in us, but life is flowing around and we're growing into adults. So you and I might look like adults, but there might be something I say to you which makes you like, oh, I'm so angry. Oh, why did she say that? I'm so upset. And that is a beautiful trigger or a signpost, if you like, to your earlier trauma. And the way we heal trauma is if I can speak to you, if I can feel that little girl. How old is she? Where is she talking from? And if we can integrate it. Now, it will only happen once again in the relational space. It won't happen with a self-help book. It won't happen by ourselves. We have tremendous resources, but we need to know, and I urge everybody who is struggling with something, and we all usually are, is to reach out to somebody who can simply hold the space for you. We don't want to change anything. We don't want to fix anything. I just want to, when you say to me, that hurts, I'm afraid, I can just say, yeah, it hurts, I'm afraid. I don't want to say to you it doesn't, but very often that's what happens. A child will say to the parent, I'm so scared, and the parent will say, but there's nothing to be scared of. But he's already telling you that he's afraid. So if you say, come, let's look at this together. There's a calming of the nervous system. Children are in essence prisoners to their parents. They can't go anywhere else. And parents, especially the mother, is the North Star. And if that is a little bit shaky, then that's often what's carried into adult relationships. And it doesn't matter the nature of the relationship, if it's intimate, if it's your boss, if it's your child. And what is so beautiful is when I see people like you say, I've brought it up to awareness, and so often I hear, but I promised I wouldn't be like my mother.
How many of you out there have said that? You can hear your mother's words, you're speaking her words, and it's the last thing you want to do.
Exactly. And there's a shadow side to that, but that is also what's familiar to you. Absolutely. So tell me, what's going on for you inside as you hear this? What are you feeling?
I had huge expectations on me as a child, and I never lived up to the little girl I was supposed to be. I didn't grow up the young adult I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be quiet. I was supposed to be demure. I was supposed to grow up and be a vet. I was supposed to be this good little girl. And I wasn't. I was a sporty, feisty little thing. And a lot of that got suppressed. And the whole, for me personally, I was seeking a sort of love and nurturing that my mother could not give me. She could not give me those fundamental needs that I needed as a very, very small baby and a child. I needed to be held, loved, and nurtured, and I wasn't. But it didn't mean my mother didn't love me. She just could not love me in a way that I needed that love.
Can we just open that resolution a minute? You said such a beautiful thing. It didn't mean my mother didn't love me. And in the work that we do, it's never about blaming or understanding. I don't want to understand your mother. I don't want to blame her. What I'm interested in is your imprinting. How do you walk your adult parenting, probably not just your parenting life, in a lot of your relationships? Your daughter might have been one of your best teachers, but I'm sure there were many along the way. It's just that we're focusing on that particular relationship today. But that's very beautiful. It's not about that she didn't love you. She probably did the best she could.
She did.
What is your imprinting?
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
about forgiving her. We want to just know, who are you?
And the answers actually came to me years after the therapy I'd been to. So I had a greater understanding afterwards, whereas I think some of us try and gain that understanding in the beginning. We have to know why we're treated like this, etc. You don't need to know any of that, because it's your perspective. My mother would have a very, very different story to me. And so it was understanding how I felt, and that was okay to feel that way. And then I had to learn to nurture my needs. I had to learn to give myself what I needed. I had to feed that little girl that was not given what she needed at that time. And as you say, when I was given that space, when I was allowed that safe place to be, to talk, that little child to say as she was, to say her feelings, it was in that space that I grew from. And so you kind of go back, don't you, Bav, to that little girl. You go back to that space, because as an adult, you may well understand it. Okay, mum had it hard, mum this, mum that. The adult understands it. It's the little girl, the inner child, that doesn't. And that's why the work is so difficult to do alone, because you can't see it, because you're in it. And I describe it like I'm on the stage. I'm one of the characters on the stage. I haven't got a very good view of the play. You have. You're in the audience. You've got a great view of what is going on. And that's where therapy and coaching is absolutely so vital and valuable to be able to.
And I would add, when you feel safe, if you feel this is a safe space between us, we can explore, we can shine a torch on those shadow places that are so painful to look at.
Absolutely.
And when you just feel, I'm not trying to change you or fix you, that's how I feel. I feel really sad today. I feel really angry. Let's just notice that.
And that's okay. We're often not brought up, and I definitely wasn't, that I was allowed to feel or express any negative emotions. I should be grateful.
So you only had half a range: the joy, happiness.
Absolutely.
And then I often hear people say sadness, guilt, whatever. Those are the difficult emotions that I stay away from. We look away from the shadow. We don't want to see what's too difficult, what's been switched off for us. And that's the beauty of healing trauma, when we can integrate all those parts of us.
Totally. And I suppressed all of that because I wasn't allowed to express it. And as I suppressed it, that grew inside of me. And then I felt those feelings as I grew up. And as those feelings were triggered in different areas of my life, I then felt deep shame, because there must be something wrong with me now to feel those feelings of sadness and hurt and pain, because I was told it's not okay. This is not what good little girls do.
What was your salary? Because you clearly got a salary for taking on that role.
What was my salary? I got through life. I got through life, and I think if you can get from childhood to adulthood, I've done well. I have done well. I don't know about that in salary terms. I've not really.
Well, let's think of it in terms of your mom paying the salary.
Yeah.
She clearly gave you something by taking on that encouraged you to take on your role of suppression. I will be who you want to be, possibly, Mom. I will be what you want to be. But it was a huge price to pay. But for that, you possibly got attention from her, a certain amount of love. There's always a gain, and there's always the shadow side. The shadow side is that suppression, that feeling of guilt and shame.
Which was huge for me, and that became overpowering, far more so, I think, than my salary, than my gain. I was consumed by guilt. I was consumed by shame. growing up with that meant I had no self-worth. Was growing up with no self-esteem. I had no confidence, zero confidence, or any self-belief that I could do anything in life. And that's how I grew up. Years later, now this is what's the amazing discovery I found. I did know this, but I found a lot more out because mum shared it with me.
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
My mum lost her father in the January, and I was born in the April. I was the first grandchild. And so I truly believe now, this is not my mum's story. It's never been discussed, this part of it. This is my feeling and belief that really sets me at peace and gives me a lot of freedom inside of me, that mum was so consumed with grief. There's just no way she could love this little baby. And I can actually go back and see myself being pushed away because she was suffering so badly. And I then carried her grief. I mean, that's a personal...
That is so beautiful what you're expressing. We are born into a traumatized world because we have a whole lineage. In us is thousands and thousands of years. You and I didn't create therapy and coaching and healing. In your group, there's centuries, right, of coaching and therapy. And our parents passed down hurts to us, our grandparents. There's a personal lineage, then there's a collective lineage. And what's very beautiful to me is that I know that the end of the story is that you have healed your relationship with your daughter, and that has the power, I believe, in spiritual terms, to heal your mother. Because yes, your mother was in great pain. She was becoming a parent when her parent had just died.
Absolutely. And that's, I didn't have any understanding at all when I was a little girl, or even
How could you? How could you? She probably didn't have either. She was just so, as you say, consumed by her grief. However, parents are obligated to look after their children. I sometimes hear adults say to me, but I had to look after my 3-year-old. That is a parental duty. The fact that you have to look after your 3-year-old, and then they're often carrying guilt. They're people in their 70s, let's say, and they're still with a tremendous guilt because they didn't look after the younger sibling well enough. But a 6-year-old doesn't have those tools. So your wounding, I can hear, is very, very young.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was those patterns and that paradigm that was not healed when I had my own children. And so back then, my mum was out of control herself, and she felt she had to control my life, which is what was going on. It was the control for us. And so,
and what do you feel the control was sitting on?
The control sitting on her. She was out of control herself, and so if she could control, she had to control all the physical bits of her world because her inner world was out of control.
And control often sits on fear.
Absolutely.
If I can control, then I won't be so afraid of my life.
Absolutely. So she had to have all these bits in her life that were, she couldn't have me out of order or me traumatized or depressed or anything, because that would not have added up into her controlled bit. So everything was meticulously controlled, and what she said went. We were allowed no self-expression. And this...
And you weren't heard, I can hear. You weren't heard at all.
No, whatever mum said went. And this paradigm, this projection, was transposed onto my children, particularly my eldest daughter. So I thought I was giving her a free rein to choose her GCSEs, go out and play till 8 o'clock at night, whatever it was. But if she didn't do anything, if she did stuff that I didn't like, that was it. All hell was let loose. She knew about it. So she learned if she wanted to be loved and liked by me, she had to do what mom wanted. That is not freedom. That is not freedom. That is the control I had over her. And that's
until she's old enough to say, I don't want you as part of my life anymore.
And she couldn't deal with it.
And our choices are based on that as well. We think we have free choice, but we don't. Our choices often come from that trauma as well. It is so beautiful the way you're saying it. I thought I was a different mom.
Yeah.
You didn't have a choice. You had no choice. Your hurts were so great
Absolutely. And it blew me away. But the two turning points in my life are really where my mother said to my face, I do not love you. This is your stuff. I will never change. Three really, really important things were life-changing for me. I was devastated at the time. I didn't think they were life-changing. And soon after that, my eldest daughter said, get out of my life. I want nothing more to do with you. So whoever is listening today, hold on. If you've been told anything as traumatic or severe as that, it doesn't have to be that way. It can change. It can change. I now have a loving relationship with both of those people in my life. But that doesn't have to either be your story as well, because sometimes we need to let these people grow whilst we go through the healing process. And I've worked with many people, Bev, who have made a decision not to have anything else to do with the parent or with their child because it's right for them.
Right.
As long as we are healed.
I would look at that very carefully, that if I don't have anything to do with you, then I won't feel my pain.
No, I don't mean it like that at all. It's got nothing to do with...
Because I just wanted to finish the sentence that very often we talk about obstacles in the way. But when we're here, present, not that I want to get there, when I'm done with this relationship, I'll be happy. No, I'm here now. This is our path.
Yes.
These people that come to show us challenges and difficulties, this is our path. And I'm sure you're very grateful for this path that you've gone on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I would not have the understanding, the depth, I would not be who I am today. So it is, I think I might have not put that across just because I do it all the time, I guess, very clearly, Bev, and for people out there listening, it is not about not having anything to do with people in your life. I mean, I've many times people have come into my office and said, I haven't spoken to my mother for 20 years. She's not the problem. There lies the elephant. There is the problem. Right. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about going through that healing process so that you can accept and understand where you were as you grow up. But if you decide as you go through that healing process that relationship is not right for you, that is equally okay.
Beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that's beautifully put, because that early attachment, that belonging, impacts our becoming.
Absolutely.
We all have a desire to grow, to live a life, have something of passion. That's our upward, downward. And that belonging allows for that becoming. And that's why that is our path.
Yes.
And to take resources, if that's the only message I can get across today, is reach out. There are so many wonderful people who will hold space and that you will feel safe speaking to. If that is my message, please do not go it alone. We don't heal alone. Even though we sometimes think, I just want to live in my cave. No, we live in a marketplace. We live in this world with other people.
We totally do. And I can't emphasize it more with you, Bev, that this is not a lone journey. Humans are designed to connect.
That's right.
We are, if there's nothing else we do on earth, we crave connection more than anything. Absolutely. Exactly. More than anything. Just look at our world. We live in villages. We are all together. We're not living, dotting around on our own. Well, no. But most of us, we are living in communities, and it's when those communities break down, it's when those relationships break down, we feel the most trauma, because we are supposed to be with others. And
trauma separates us, and healing will bring us together, where I can just be with you, hear you. It doesn't fragment us, but so many of us are born into a fragmented world already. If your mother was contracted, how does the baby feel? A baby will send out a ping and one boom back. Sometimes a baby sends a ping, ping, ping.
Absolutely. And it wasn't until I kind of reached my lowest point where I'd lost, in inverted commas, my mum and my eldest daughter. And the impact it also has on your financial situation, because this is all, you know, it's all intertwined. And I had quite serious health issues. So it's no surprise that this is all going on, you know. But it wasn't until I reached out, as Bev says, you do not have to do this alone. In fact, it's nigh on, I would say, impossible to actually heal alone. It really, you really do need that safety, you need that comfort, you need someone to meet you exactly where you are.
Exactly. And I just want to reiterate what you just beautifully said, that, and now it just slipped my mind, you just said something about, how you felt it physically in your body. That is a symptom. And
Totally. 100%. 100%. I was very ill at the time with a lot of gynecological issues. You know, I had skin cancer. There is no surprise that this was going on. No surprise that our finances were spiraling out of control. Every area of my life appeared to be affected by what? You know, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And it wasn't until I was taught not to reach out for help, but I just thought, I've got nothing else to do now. And the message today is, you don't have to wait until you're in my space, whatever your rock bottom is. Don't wait. Don't wait. If you're suffering at all now, put your hand up. It'll be one of the most bravest and courageous things you'll ever do in your life. Those three words: please help me. There is someone out there to help you. I absolutely promise you that. I would not be where I am without all the beautiful, amazing help I've had in my life.
And we heal the world one person at a time. So we are the healing in the world.
We are both.
Thank you, Louise, for this beautiful conversation.
Thank you.
And for this opportunity. Just before we go, how do you feel?
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's always wonderful to connect with, you know, like-minded people like yourself. You know, you've got such depth, Bev, you've got such great understanding, you're such a beautiful, warm soul, and it's been truly wonderful to connect with you today. And I'm sure you know, our listeners will have taken that on board. And I think Bev and I are quite excited to do more of these as well. We're going to be choosing little topics, and we'd love your feedback as to, you know, perhaps what's going on in your life, or, you know, sharing a relationship issue, or anxieties, or any worries that you have, because Bev has got a wealth of, you know, knowledge. She's a very, very experienced therapist. And I think these are beautiful times for us to come together and to share a little bit and to help you move forwards in life, and above all, to give you hope, because there is hope regardless of your past childhood or experiences or traumas, regardless of where you are right now in life. I absolutely promise you things can change. You can be in a much, much better space. It isn't assigned to any one particular type of person. So do let us know what you know, how you felt about today's video, and perhaps what you'd like to listen to in the future, because it's really hard for Bev and I to give you what it is you want. It's much easier if we kind of know what you'd love to listen to and learn a little bit about. Is that right, Bev?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And if they'd like our help, to reach out, and yeah, we'll answer as many people as we can. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Real pleasure, and thank you so much, Bev, for sharing your knowledge and your work. It's so wonderful to have you with us today in this fantastic group of amazing women. So thank you. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.